So neighborhoods across New York are always changing, but new developments tend to raise concerns about gentrification and displacement. The City Council will be voting on a key bill that tackles race and rezoning today, which could impact communities of color in Brooklyn, the Bronx, and Manhattan. New York Public Advocate Jumaane Williams is proposing a racial impact study for any future developments, and he joins us this morning to explain how this would actually help New Yorkers. So good morning, Jumaane. Always good to see you.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, so when it comes to race and rezoning, let's talk about this. You know, we've seen the issues that gentrification have caused in certain neighborhoods like Bed-Stuy and Harlem, Washington Heights as well. How will your proposal protect New Yorkers from being displaced?
Well, we're very excited about what's about to happen today. Shout out to the City Council, the chair of land use, Rafael Salamanca, Councilmember Salamanca, for working with us, and the speaker for helping guide Speaker Corey Johnson for where we are today. What we've seen is a lot of rezonings in the past few years, and we're always told that it's supposed to make the city better, but what we've seen is only made certain folks better. It's made certain New Yorkers and people coming into New York better, but it's left behind so many New Yorkers who've been there for such a long time, primarily Black and brown. And so what this study is going to do, like the environmental impact study that is already done, it says that you have to do a study on the racial and ethnicity impact that a rezoning is going to have in the city before you move forward. Because right now we've seen anecdotally that it's really bad, but unfortunately no one really takes the time to study it. This is going to change that before a rezoning goes through.
Well, you know, it is hard, Jumaane, to stop gentrification, especially in places like New York City. So how would the racial impact study strike a fair balance here?
Well, no one could deny the gentrification, the displacement that has occurred over the past few years that coincides, unfortunately, with so many of the rezonings that have happened. And what this does is going to start a starting point of which people can gauge. So the city will set up indexes of which applicants will then have to match. They'll have to look at the racial makeup of a neighborhood, the ethnicity of a neighborhood, the income of a neighborhood, the rental history of a neighborhood. Look at all these things and then say, this is how my project will impact these things. That's an important metric to look at, so everybody's looking at the same thing. Even more exciting, and I'm so happy we got it in here, the applicant will have to say how their rezoning, how their project will further fair housing in the city.
Well, let's dive a little bit deeper into that, because the racial impact study would not only, you know, focus on what developers would bring to the table, as you're talking about, for the community, but doesn't that already kind of happen? So how are you taking that a step further?
Not really. It doesn't happen in the way that people think. It could allow for things like checking race and ethnicity, but most applicants actually don't. They really do surface level impact on the community. Very often the community doesn't feel they have the information or the ability to inform the projects the way that they would like to. So this actually mandates it. This is going to take publicly available data and put it in one place for everyone to see. Right now, it's kind of there in the ethos. Some people look at it, some people don't. This is a mandate that's really gonna, I think, really transform how we do land use. This is the biggest land use change that we've seen in decades. Absent the salaciousness of the mayoral race right now, I really think more people will be hearing about what's happening, but I'm excited that it's happening nonetheless, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about it.
Sure. So as you gather this information as part of the study and mandate it, which is what you're hoping to do, would your office oversee the racial impact study, and would the developers be paying for the study, or do taxpayers pay for the study? How does that work?
Well, the Office of the Public Advocate is going to do what it always does, which is check and make sure that the government and agencies are doing their job they're supposed to do. HPD and the Department of Planning, DCP, is going to set indexes in the next year. They're going to set the indexes of which applicants will have to measure against. We heard in the original versions of the bill that the applicants were concerned that the burden of setting this up was going to be on them. So what we did is make sure that the city would be the ones that have to set up the indexes, and then the applicants will have to be able to answer to those indexes. What and how are those projects going to impact those indexes, so we can really take a look at what's happening beforehand? Because what we've seen is that many of these rezonings have been either linked to, helped, exacerbated displacement, gentrification, along with many other factors. But we know that land use and rezonings are a huge thing that we have to be able to manage.
Quickly, on the flip side of that, how will the developers be held accountable for following through with the conditions set forth by this racial impact study?
Well, what we're hoping now is, because many times, what we're hoping now is that when this information is publicly available, it will provide the power for communities and for council members and elected officials to say, this is not going to go any further because you are going to displace these people who have already been here. Right now, too many of the conversations have been anecdotal. Nobody studied it before and after. And what we've heard is, no, this is not really the case, even as we see the impact on the city. So right now, it's going to be undeniable when the study's done, whether or not the impact is going to be, unfortunately, what we've seen for far too long.
Getting some tangible answers here. Jumaane Williams, thank you so much for joining us today and what you're doing with this study, because it does seem like it's going to have an impact. Thank you.
Thank you.